I am not sure why my thoughts began to take notice about how I carefully fit in within my family dynamics. But one thing I could never shake was how it felt like I had to learn to fit into my place. Even as the firstborn, the so called VIP of the family, you'd think I'd be cruising through life, spotlight secured, gold star status locked in, never doubting my place or belonging. But somewhere in the back of my mind, there was this sneaky little voice whispering, "Don't get too comfortable. This spotlight has a timer." As if my parents' love felt like a magical river that glittered as it moved. And even when I was standing in its current, I worried it might stop flowing. I don't know why. No one ever said it would. But still, I kept watching quietly, wondering if someone else might build a dam upstream and cut off the flow to me. I couldn't tell you exactly when that fear started creeping in. The fear wasn't obvious, not some big dramatic moment, but more like a quiet hum in the background, shaping things in ways I didn't fully notice. So even as I played the part of the golden child, ticking off all the boxes, there was this quiet sense that one day I might just be replaced, like a favorite toy swapped out for a newer version, with barely a second thought. That strange feeling lingered, like I was one wrong move away from being, what, swapped out? Reassigned? Like someone in the universe clicked the wrong life? Odd, right? But growing up has a way of rewiring things without asking. I didn't stumble across the terminology for oldest sibling syndrome or elder daughter syndrome until my late 20s. I guess we develop a certain behavioral traits as the older sibling, and they evolve even more once you are the eldest daughter. Yet, when I learned about these, I noticed the invisible weight I'd carried my entire life. It had a name: perfectionism, resentment, isolation, people pleasing, parentification. These were the qualities reserved for the leader, yet no one taught me how to lead. How to be the first to apologize, first to take responsibility, first to try, first to change, first to speak up. That constant internal war between desperately needing to be seen and fearing I never truly would be was all there, written out like a diagnosis. A wound I hadn't realized was still bleeding. I remember the exact moment when I first became aware of the pattern. I was 11. We were sitting on the couch. My parents walked in, their faces glowing with excitement. It was Christmas time. The air thick with cinnamon and twinkling lights. The hum of holiday music soft in the background. "We're having another baby," they announced. The room erupted in joy. But inside me, something else stirred. A quiet, creeping fear. My chest tightened. Though I didn't yet have words for it, I felt myself shrink. A whisper slithered through my thoughts. Love is something you have to compete for. I didn't understand why I felt that way, only that I did. I think my parents saw me as the easy child. On the surface, I was independent, dependable, and responsible. I took ownership of my actions. But what no one realized was that I rarely spoke up. I bottled up my needs, fueling a quiet rage that simmered inside of me. My feelings weren't wrong, but they were never quite right either. Instead of being heard, I was met with phrases like, "Suck it up, buttercup," as if emotions were just inconveniences to be brushed aside. I stayed quiet because I noticed how full everyone else's plate always seemed. How could they make room for my burdens? So I adopted this "I'll do it myself and I'll never let them see you sweat" attitude. I watched my mother pour herself into everyone around her, while I felt like I was left with whatever was left over. She loved me, I know that, but there was always just a little more love given elsewhere. A little more patience, a little more softness. Instead of voicing what I needed, I buried it and learned to be tough. Pain hidden beneath a sharp tongue and fiery temper, because showing anything else felt like a weakness. I wasn't just strong, I was surviving, trying my best to manage it all. Praised for my strength, my resilience, my ability to carry what I was never meant to. A long time ago, my mom saw my wound, maybe for the first time. We ended up talking, and I finally told her the truth. I'd always felt like I was in competition, as if there wasn't enough love for me to go around. She listened, truly listened, and then she said something that changed everything. "You can always make more love. There is enough love to go around." I thought she was just trying to reassure me. It wasn't until I discovered Reiki and became a Reiki master teacher that everything finally clicked. It unlocked a new world where energy and love were infinite. More than just a philosophy. Reiki explains a fiery energy from which all universal healing flows, boundless, everlasting, and always available to those who choose to tap in. For me, Reiki became the energy of pure love, the very love I had craved as a child, teenager, and young adult. It was there all along, waiting for me to fill my own cup. I just had to learn how to receive it, to be open to it. Love was never meant to be scarce. It wasn't something to fight for or to prove myself worthy of, because it simply was infinite, ever-present, and always accessible. Remembering this became the moment that I realized my mom had always been connected to that universal source, effortlessly pouring from it. Her love was never divided, it was multiplied. She had enough to give, and it had never been taken away from me. The wound I had carried had been real, but the fear, that had been an illusion. Love had never been something I had to compete for. It had always been there, waiting for me to trust in its abundance. It no longer mattered how many lost children she clothed or fed. She was their protector because they needed her. And I finally understood. I never needed her protection or her love in the same way. My fiery spirit and resilience made me a perfect defender. And my mom would send me in to protect her and others. She saw my fearless attitude as a form of protection and utilized my defensiveness. The very qualities I believe made me unlovable in her eyes were my strengths. She adored and nurtured my fierce nature, seeing me as the rose that grew from the concrete, something or someone that is full of beauty and love. I now understand she saw my softness, even when I was blind to it.